Hello and welcome to the Sleuth Booth, and we're going to go completely onto a different subject today. I said before I was going to mix it up. We're going to be looking at all different things on this channel. I really am going to go down different avenues, so you can always expect everything different, and you can always expect that whatever I do on here, I will go back and do again, and updates and stuff like that. So there's going to be plenty coming this week. Also, if you're an Instagram user and you prefer IG and you use IGTV, I do upload these videos to IGTV. So follow me at the Sleuth Booth on Instagram, where I do. I've got to upload I think the last 3 videos I did. I think no, maybe more than that. I've got to do the Watcher, so the Watcher series should be going up today. So the Watcher House story, all 3 parts will be going on Instagram today, and the 2 videos I've done since then will also be going on Instagram. I believe one was Kathleen Moore and the other one was Arthur Hughes. So, but today we're going to be checking out the multiverse, and I've always been into this theory. I mean, when you look at the history of it, I mean, science fiction stories and science fiction movies and games and, parallel worlds and parallel universes, multiverses, even like Spider-Man and things like that. It's always been a little toy subject that has been played with over and over and over again. And, some people will see that as just entertainment. Other people see entertainment as a way of seeing the future. Like some people make connections between, what we used to put in movies in the past is, some of those things are reality now. Like these devices that we're walking around with. Me being able to make this video for you to view in any, anywhere around the world at any time. That would have been science fiction at one point. But the multiverse theory, the reason why it interests me is because it isn't just this, it's still hypothetical, but there's a lot of, scientists are they're not dismissing it. Some scientists are, but on the whole, it's been left on the table. And reason being is, if you listen to some of the scientists that explain this, and they go all the way back to the Big Bang, and they talk about the nature of like atoms and particles and things like that, and how they can often coexist. You could have 2 of the same thing coexisting, operate in the same space and time, but just sort of differently, and there might be slight differences to each one, but technically they're one of the same thing. And I'm not really explaining it amazingly well here, but I am going to show you a video in a little while. But when you listen to them explain it, and then you start thinking deeper and deeper, you go down this little wormhole, rabbit hole, if you like, of what could be. And there's been some amazing stories from people regarding parallel universes, and they are amazing stories. Whether they're fact or fiction, I mean, we never know, but there's a lot of very powerful stories out there. But for me, it's the bit that gets me is the possibility, which is what they're kind of pointing towards. The possibility that there is copies of all of us. So those that haven't ventured down this will be an interesting road for you if you haven't ventured this subject, because this is being talked about in science. That's the one thing that amazes me. This has been talked about in mainstream science. It's been talked about in science that that they use to create these amazing devices that we've got. I mean, they use quantum computing as a way of rapidly evolving computer technology, and quantum computing relies on the same laws and same mathematics that would explain the multiverse theory. That's interesting. That is interesting. And the fact that there could be copies of us and we could be living like slightly different lives. And another thing that has interested me is like, you know, let's just say, you know, you unfortunately pass away for whatever reason on, you know, on this planet. In the copy, or in one of the copies, because they believe that there could be multiples of, I've heard 6, I've heard 5, I've heard 9, I've heard infinite. Infinite comes up a lot. I mean, that would be great, wouldn't it? Because then everything is possible. I know I'm rich in one of these. I know I'm successful and loved and famous in one of these, if it's infinite. So there's hope on that one. But it's the fact that, you know, like on one of these copies, you could still be alive. Like, and that's really interesting. And I'm going to recommend a movie. Before I show this video that I'm going to show, I'm going to recommend a movie to you. And I believe it's called Another Earth. It's not the most gripping movie. You know, it is quite long-winded. It does take a lot of focus. I would say watch it on your own, not in a group. Unless you all specifically just want to, you know, you're interested, you just want to see what this movie is about. But what's interesting about it is the fact that a parallel copy of Earth and the Moon just appears out of nowhere in, you know, close to our Earth. And then they make contact, and then they realise that they're making contact with exactly the same people, doing exactly the same things. Everything's exactly the same. It's like a complete mirror of Earth, and they're able to communicate back and forth. I mean, there's a little storyline to it with a woman and a guy and his family, that, you know, that there's this accident, and there's a lot that goes on in the movie. But it's all about, it all ends up, you know, with this focus on this other Earth that's interesting. They even get a little bit scared because they're thinking, well, we know what we're like on this Earth. You know, we get suspicious, we get scared, we've got nuclear weapons and stuff, so they're going to be the same. So we need to be careful, you know, because it could be a war. But it's an interesting film. I think you should watch it. And this is a subject that I really, really, really enjoy. And we're going to take a little look at this video. It's a 10-minute video. It's called the Multiverse Hypothesis, explained by Neil deGrasse Tyson. Now, I don't know if you know who that is. Some people like him, some people don't. Some people trust his judgment, some people don't. He's very famous. I personally, you know, I really enjoy like his podcast, Star Talk. And I think he's got a good way of explaining things. He's he's got a soothing voice. You know, he's got a very soothing voice. And, you know, I wouldn't say he goes into grand detail like some scientists do. Like if you watch Science Festival and things like that, he doesn't really always go as deep as they do. But he goes deep enough, and he brings things to a manageable size to take in in one day. You know, like you can sort of comprehend what he's saying without too much effort. He makes it very easy to understand. So we're going to check this out. This is the Multiverse Hypothesis, explained by Neil deGrasse Tyson.
You believe this is the only universe. There's not just one universe. There's a multiverse.
We think, when I say we, just the scientific community, physicists who concern themselves with the very early universe, cosmologists, that the laws of physics as we experience them are set in the very earliest stages of the universe. And quantum fluctuations in everything would be responsible for another universe having slightly different laws of physics than ours, because the quantum fluctuations will take it in a slightly different law of physics direction than our universe. And this would just keep going. Every universe that's born, even if it started out sort of the same in the very first instant, a later instant when other laws of physics manifest could be slightly different.
The concept of infinite worlds is a very old idea discussed in the philosophy of ancient Greek atomism, which states that the physical world is composed of fundamental indivisible components known as atoms. Ancient philosophers proposed that infinite parallel worlds arose from the collision of atoms. In the 3rd century BC, philosopher Chrysippus suggested that the world eternally expired and regenerated, effectively suggesting the existence of multiple universes across time. However, the concept of multiple universes has reached maturity only in the time of modern physics. In Dublin in 1952, Erwin Schrödinger gave a lecture in which he warned his audience that what he was about to say might seem lunatic. He said that when his equations seemed to describe several different histories, these were not alternatives, but all really happened simultaneously. This sort of duality is called superposition, which is a hard concept to grasp in and of itself. And understandably so, our brains are not evolutionarily equipped to intuitively understand quantum mechanics and large-scale cosmic phenomena. But we'll give it a try anyway.
With the multiverse, where there could be pockets of the universe that are expanding with no knowledge of any other pockets of the universe. These are essentially independent universes from one another, and never the twain will meet. Imagine you're a ship at sea and you look to the horizon, and that's your whole universe there, to the horizon. There's another ship that has its own horizon, and these ships don't even see each other. You'll only see each other if somehow your two horizons can overlap. And we don't know how to do that in our universe because they're non-causal. You'd have to find some way to tunnel from one universe to the other in order to access that, but that could be very dangerous. Because if the laws of physics are different than the ones you evolved on, then you could just dissolve into a pile of goo because the charge on the electron is different and all of your biochemistry would change.
The multiverse is a hypothetical group of multiple universes. Together, these universes comprise everything that exists, the entirety of space, time, matter, energy, information, and the physical laws and constants that describe them. The different universes within the multiverse are called parallel universes, alternate universes, or many worlds. In pop culture, they are known as parallel dimensions, quantum realities, alternate realities, etc. The physics community has debated the various multiverse theories over time. Prominent physicists are divided about whether other universes exist outside of our own. Some physicists say the multiverse is not a legitimate topic of scientific inquiry. Concerns have been raised about whether attempts to exempt the multiverse from experimental verification could erode public confidence in science and ultimately damage the study of fundamental physics. Some have argued that the multiverse is a philosophical notion rather than a scientific hypothesis because it cannot be empirically falsified. The ability to disprove a theory by means of scientific experiment has always been part of the accepted scientific method. Nobel laureate Steve Weinberg suggested that if the multiverse existed, the hope of finding a rational explanation for the precise values of quark masses and other constants of the standard model that we observe in our Big Bang is doomed, for their values would be an accident of the particular part of the multiverse in which we live.
There could be a universe where the laws of physics there will never allow matter to coalesce. You'll never get stars. That would be a lifeless universe. There could be another universe where you can make stars, but you don't make heavy elements. That would be a universe with stars, beautiful night skies as we have now, but nothing that we know and love. No planets, no life.
Some scientists analyzed the data from the Wilkinson Microwave Anisotropy Probe, an uncrewed spacecraft operating from 2001 to 2010 that measured temperature differences across the sky in cosmic microwave background, the radiant heat emitted from the Big Bang, and claimed they found evidence suggesting that our universe collided with other parallel universes in the distant past. However, a more thorough data analysis from the Wilkinson Microwave Anisotropy Probe and from the Planck satellite, a space observatory operated by the European Space Agency from 2009 to 2013, which mapped the anisotropies of the cosmic microwave background, did not find any statistical significant evidence of universe collisions. There was no evidence of any gravitational pull of other universes on ours either. And to add insult to injury to the proponents that the multiverse hypothesis has been backed up by statistical evidence, the Planck satellite has a resolution 3 times higher than the WMA probe.
In the 1920s, quantum mechanics was invented, discovered, however you want to think scientific advances take place. Quantum mechanics is the study of the small, how particles behave. And we learned that if you get to a small enough scale, you lose the ability to predict with precision the behavior of the system. You can only describe it statistically. And there are ranges of things it can do, and all you can describe is the range of properties that it may have. Well, here's this big grand universe we have described by Einstein's general theory of relativity. But at the Big Bang, the entire universe was the size of an atom. And so you have the need to have the physics of the small, quantum mechanics, marry the physics of the large, general relativity, because they're occupying the same space. Now, when you take quantum mechanics and apply it to aspects of the fabric of space on that scale, what you have is a gurgling of the fabric of space-time. In fact, it's been called a quantum foam. And so now, when you look at this foam, applying the laws of quantum mechanics to it, you realize that this fabric is not limited to one zone or another. In fact, there's a region of the fabric that could hatch out an entire universe with the variations in the laws of physics simply because the conditions that would spawn the laws of physics had variation in them. And so the multiverse is not just some invention out of the ether. It flows out of an application of quantum mechanics to general relativity.
Prominent scientists such as Max Tegmark and Brian Greene have devised classification schemes for the various theoretical types of multiverses and universes that they might comprise. Max Tegmark has provided a taxonomy of 4 levels of universe beyond the familiar observable universe. Level 1 is an extension of our universe. A prediction of cosmic inflation is the existence of an infinite ergodic universe, which, being infinite, must contain Hubble volumes realizing all initial conditions. Level 2 are universes with different physical constants. In the internal inflation theory, the multiverse or space as a whole is stretching and will continue doing so forever. But some regions of space stop stretching and form distinct bubbles that are embryonic level 1 multiverses. Level 3 is the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. One aspect of quantum mechanics is that certain observations cannot be predicted absolutely. Instead, there is a range of possible observations, each with a different probability. According to the many worlds interpretation, each of these possible observations corresponds to a different universe. Level 4 is an ultimate ensemble. The ultimate mathematical universe hypothesis is Tegmark's own hypothesis. This level considers all universes to be equally real, which can be described by different mathematical structures. Tegmark remarks that abstract mathematics is so general that any theory of everything which is definable in purely formal terms, independent of vague human terminology, is also a mathematical structure. He argues this implies that any conceivable parallel universe theory can be described at level 4 and subsumes all other ensembles. Therefore, this level brings closure to the hierarchy of multiverses, and there cannot be a level 5. The American theoretical physicist Brian Greene discussed 9 types of multiverses, but we will discuss them in another video. Enough head scratching for today. Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? Then show your support by liking, subscribing, and ringing the bell to never miss videos like this.
So, guys, I mean, what do you think? What do you think? I mean, at the end of the day, like, you know, if you go through, say, the last 50 years, I don't know, go back 50 years and ask people what they think they know about space, and then ask people 20 years ago what they think they know about space, and then ask people now what they think they know about space. You know, we've come like a massively long way. And like I said in the beginning, a lot of what we do now would be considered science fiction less than a century ago. You know, less than a century ago, what we do now will be considered science fiction. You know, the thought of having a smartphone device would have been hilarious. You know, it would have, you know, the level that the internet's at, you know, that you can stream anything you want to your television in your house at any point, you know, in 4K, like, people would just, you know, they'd think you're crazy, but yet that's where we are. And I like theories like this because I think it's good to have theories like this, you know, like this one, simulation theory, you know, the various other theories that are out there that are just theories at the moment. But when you get a theory that has a lot of credibility with the scientific equations that big scientists, well-known names, are saying, they're saying that these equations, like, they can work. You know, that just makes... Does that make you feel more insignificant, or does that make the universe feel more exciting? I think it makes things more exciting, but what you do less significant. That's what I think. I think it makes what you do in your life less significant, but the experience itself is massive. You know, it just makes it more exciting to think that, you know, we could just be in one big cosmic party and we just don't know it. You know, we're just over here on our own, thinking no one else is here. But it definitely amazes me. I'm going to touch on these subjects a lot more. I think one of the next subjects I'm going to touch upon may be simulation theory. I do want to dip into the UFOs. This week I will be doing some more videos on those people that are missing. But in the meantime, I would love it if you could go down to the comments and just let me know what you think. Like, and don't be scared. Don't be sitting there thinking people are going to laugh at you. Do you know, so many times I sit here and I think things, and I think them seriously, and I think, well, I can't, you know, I can't talk about this with people that think I'm crazy. But it's just genuine speculation, you know, hypothesis, you know, hyper theorizing. And, you know, because you never know. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, these scientists, they have to sit there and think about this stuff in order to determine whether it's workable or not. We can't just rule things out. We have to go, you know, okay, do we think this can happen? No, we don't. But do we know it can't? Do we know it's not real? No, we don't know either. So still find out. You know, it's like paranormal stuff. People find the paranormal, you know, a non-serious subject, and there are a lot of people that take it extremely seriously. But at the end of the day, we don't really know. No one really knows whether the paranormal is real or not. All we can go on is other people's experiences and trust those experiences to be valid. But, you know, at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer that unless you could put in evidence in front of me about something, then I'm open to anything that's possible. So please speculate however you wish in the comments below. You know, and no one needs to jump on anyone for what they think or what their theories. No one needs to make jokes or point fingers like, oh, you believe this, you believe that. No, I mean, we can all theorize, we can all speculate, and I think it's more interesting to find out why people think certain things or why people believe certain things. And where are you with the parallel universes and the multiverse theory? Are you a believer in it? Do you think it's hogwash? Do you think that there's some bit truth in it, but it's not as glamorous as it's being made out in some of these documentaries? I know they like to glamorize it, like, oh, you know, in another parallel universe you might be a multi-millionaire with, you know, everything you want, you know, everything you've ever dreamed of. There's a copy of you somewhere on another planet with everything like that. I mean, they like to Hollywood it up, but it's still interesting to think about. It's still very interesting to think about, you know, what could be out there. Could there be another you that's completely different biologically? It's you, but you're biologically different. He did say that the laws of physics could be different. So that tells me that could mean your biology is a lot different. It's a copy of you in a different biological form. I mean, we could go on all day, but I'm looking forward to seeing some of you speculate in the comments below. So please let me know what you think. And until then, you've been in a sleep.